Well, hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. We are understanding Portugal's new, all singing, all dancing digital nomad visa. This is an amazing development. And of course, who better to talk about it with us tonight than Gilda Pereira from EI, from A, and colleague Beatriz Ribeiro, who we'll meet in just a moment. But Gilda, how are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to have you here. And I believe you're in Porto. You're moving around the country at the moment.
Yes, I am.
And how is Porto this evening?
Oh, it's raining a lot. I'm not enjoying it. Since I arrived here, it's raining.
I'm sure it's nothing personal. Great to have you here. And Beatriz, beautiful to meet you as well. You were behind the scenes when we spoke last time, and here you are on the camera. Thank you so much for being here. And I think you're going to chip in from time to time and assist Gilda this evening.
Yes. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to meet you and to be here.
Thank you. Could you tell, we know Gilda fairly well, or most of us do here, the principal, of course, of EI. Could you tell us a little bit about your day at EI? What sort of things do you do?
Well, every day in EI is completely crazy because everything is new. We have all sorts of experience, emotions. We go from excitement because a new visa got issued, then we have some problems, but I believe everything goes apart with the job. Yes. And it is so nice to be a part of the EI family.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. And you have so many fans here tonight as well. People are glad to see you on the screen, people you've helped with their D7 process. Good evening, Marty, one of the fans as well, who's also saying hi to Anna tonight. And there are greetings from, let me just check in with a few of these. This is fantastic. 11:30 in San Francisco, and that's Paul and Sid also there. Hola from beautiful San Francisco Bay Area, California, USA. Hello from Maliha as well. And Maxine knows you both, as does Darren. And who is this? Flavia Derasmo. What is EI? That's a great question, and that's where we'll begin tonight, Gilda. Could you tell us a little bit about EI?
Okay, Flavia, EI is a company that takes care of the visas and relocation. That's why we are here to talk about the new visa, the Digital Nomad Visa.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And of course, you can find EI in the Expats Portugal business directory, and we'll make sure there's a link in the chat for that. So that covers that. Flavia, where have you been? It's lovely to have you here. And we're going to tell you, of course, about the Digital Nomad Visa. And every Tuesday evening between 9 and 10, Gilda and I, well, Gilda processes all those questions that come in for Migration Tuesday on a Tuesday evening, which is a great time for those in North America to tune in. Anybody who's dealing with the D7 especially, a lot of people with D7s are getting information on a Tuesday evening. But tonight, it's all about the Digital Nomad Visa, although I'm sure people will encourage us to stray into other areas of visa processing tonight, Gilda. But what's so special about the Digital Nomad Visa? I think this is a big development for Portugal, right, as a country, and of great interest in the digital nomad community across the world.
Yes, it is. Especially after the pandemic, and as many people start working remotely, and you know that we had the D7 visa that was used for the passive income. So what happened was that the D7 visa was specific for passive income, but people started to use that with the contracts that they were able to work remotely. And now this new law, with all the changes that it brought, they said that, okay, the D7 visa is only for the passive income, but we have this new visa that it's for the people that can work remotely. The thing is that they have put an amount that is the minimum required to apply for this visa, which is the 4 times the Portuguese minimum wage.
Okay.
That is 2,000, Beatriz, help me,
2,820.
2,820.
Thank you, Beatriz.
Yeah. you need to show that the average of the last 3 months of your income is that amount, fits that amount.
Okay.
Also, it doesn't matter if it is a self-employment or a contractor, or if you are an employee that you are able to work remotely. But the one thing that is mandatory is that your contract is with a company that which the headquarters are outside Portugal.
Right.
And also you need to make proof of the last tax residence that you have while you are applying.
Okay, let's run through those one more time, and if we may. This is all very new, isn't it? We should hasten to add. And what we're discovering, of course, as well, is that in theory, the visa is there, and this is a process for coming into the country, but it's yet to be tried and tested within the system. And so people should approach with some, not caution necessarily, but to have that, bear that in mind, that this is new and it will be a test for an already, some would say, burdened CEF inward migration administration bureaucracy here in Portugal. So bear that in mind, folks. But if you could detail those specifics again, Gilda, and maybe at this point, say where some of the confusion might still be as well.
Okay, so the minimum wage to apply is equal to 4 Portuguese minimum wage.
Yeah.
So it needs to be 2,820 euros.
Yeah.
And you need to show that in the past 3 months your income was on that average. Okay. And it can be self-employment or employee. You just need to show the contracts,
yeah,
or the invoices in case you are self-employment, and you need to the contracts or the contract with the company needs to be with the company which the headquarters are outside Portugal.
Okay. All right. And we've got some great questions coming in. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you mentioned accommodation in there.
No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't.
Right. Why would that be?
No, because these are only the specific requirements for this type of visa.
Okay. All right. And as far as we're aware, there is no proof of accommodation requirement as there is for the D7 at this stage.
No, and then all the other requirements are as for the other residency visas. And right. Then here we have two different things that we need to approach. There are two kinds of digital nomad visa. One is a temporary digital nomad visa that you are able to stay in the country for 6 months and work remotely from Portugal for 6 months. And the other that is a residency visa, digital nomad residency visa, that in that case, it works like a D7, okay? You will have the visa for 4 months, and then it will turn into a resident permit for 2 years. And then after 2 years, you can renew it, and you will have a resident permit for 3 years. And also after 5 years, you can apply to the citizenship.
Which is quite an amazing proposition, isn't it, all in all?
Yeah.
Yeah, superb. Okay, we have a packed house tonight. Still people coming in. Thank you all for being here. Very happy to hear from you and where you are in the world. Mehmet, thank you for being here. We see you there. You were talking to us on Tuesday night about this particular visa, and we already have some questions coming in. Unless you want to cover any more of the basics, Gilda, at this point.
Talking about the accommodation.
Yes.
So for the non-residency Digital Nomad Visa, which is the temporary visa up to 6 months. You don't need to show any rental agreement because you are not obliged to have a permanent accommodation.
Yeah.
But for a residency visa, you need to show that you are going to have a permanent place to stay. We don't know if they are going to require a rental agreement or not.
Okay.
Because it's not on the law, but also regarding the D7, it is not on the law, but it's a requirement that the consulates started to ask.
That's a very interesting point. Okay, so the skeletal form of the visas is the law, but that doesn't mean that at some point during the life of the visa, certain circumstances might change, as in, for example, with the D7, it was okay to have an Airbnb booking as proof of being in the country, but then that became more problematic, and now of course it's a minimum of a 12-month rental agreement. So the law is one part of it, and it may, as it is tested out and as the first few people are processed, other what would they be called, clauses or additional requirements might come up in time. So be aware of that, be prepared that might happen. In many ways, do you think the people applying early and now are at an advantage?
I think so.
Yes. Okay. So, and I think you already have people knocking on your door, and I think you have one particular client who's desperate to be the first, and maybe they will have their bottle of champagne outside Web Summit this year, because of course, so many wonderful things coming together for Portugal, including this new Digital Nomad Visa and Web Summit again this year, of course, and there'll be a lot of people coming from all over the world for that. Sorry, you were going to say something about this particular client and being the first in this process?
We already have 2 clients.
Excellent.
In a row.
Okay. Right. Okay. So the excitement is palpable.
So we are going to be the 3rd one.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. This is great news tonight. Keep those questions coming in. Paul, let's go to this one first. You mentioned, of course, that the person needs to be working for a company outside of Portugal. Otherwise, of course, you might have people applying who work for Portuguese companies for the benefit thereof. But does the company need to be in the EU? It doesn't, does it? It can be anywhere as long as it's outside of Portugal. Is that right, Gilda?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Not necessarily in the EU, Paul. Excellent. Thank you. I read that I can apply from within Portugal, says Rich. Is that true? And if so, how could Rich do that?
I keep hearing that question, and I don't know where people got this idea, because seriously, I don't know.
It wasn't me.
There is a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
But one thing that people need to understand, it's the word visa. Okay, the visa is granted by the consulates. And you don't have any Portuguese consulate inside Portugal.
Yes.
So there aren't any visas granted in Portugal.
Very good description, very good explanation there. Of course, a visa is for visiting a country, and you don't have visas in your own country. I don't think anywhere has that, do they? So it would just by common sense and logic alone, it isn't possible. And we don't know where that started, but Rich, sorry to say, no, that is not possible. Maliha, can we show annual income instead of monthly income as long as it equals the required amount if monthly salary varies from month to month? And you did say it was an average, right, Gilda?
Yes, from the last 3 months.
Yes, okay. Beatrice is doing a lot of nodding here. Do feel free to chip in if you wish to, Beatrice, and thank you for your help behind the scenes. I suspect you're looking at the questions too. And on that note, Jerry and Sally are here behind the scenes. If you have any questions about Expats Portugal, of course, Jerry and Sally will be able to handle those, as Beatrice will for EI. Okay, so yes, sorry, I asked you that question and then interrupted straight away. Can we show annual income instead of monthly income as long as it equals the required amount if monthly salary varies from month to month, which it probably would with a digital nomad, right? Their invoices are going to vary.
Yes, but I think that they are going to look to the last 3. The law is clear on that.
The last 3 invoices?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's well worth bearing in mind then, you digital nomads, on that, Malia. And you continue. Can that required amount come from more than one employer? And it probably would, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So
can.
it's invoiced based, isn't it? Rather, which is the main feature, and it will be average of the last 3 invoices. That's a key piece of information to bear in mind there, because a small invoice could ruin your chances there. Beatriz, you unmuted. Did you want to add something?
Yes, as long as both companies agree that you can work remotely from Portugal, because you always need to show one of the 2 things, or your contracts, or a letter from the HR saying that you can freely continue to work in Portugal.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you for that contribution. Right. Ivy, can one apply from within Portugal? We've already dealt with that, haven't we? If you're already living in Portugal, you'll have to go out and apply. As Gilda says, it's a visa because they've extended the Schengen visa exemption until the end of the year. So many of us from the US are already living here for several months. So you could go outside.
Naughty.
Oh, me or Ivy?
Ivy.
Okay.
He's already living here because the Schengen is extended, so he's already living.
So you couldn't go to another Schengen country, to a Portuguese embassy?
No.
Okay, wow.
No, but to apply from another Schengen country, you would need to have a resident permit in that country.
Okay, of course. And generally speaking, Gilda, the residency requirements in Schengen countries, are they fairly similar? So you would have to basically turn yourself in the first 90 days or when you're coming up to 90 days to ask for residency in another Schengen country. Is that how it would work? Or does it vary greatly from country to country?
It varies from country to country.
Okay, so much.
Well, the staying period as a tourist is the 90 days.
Okay.
But to apply for a resident permit from country to country is very different.
Okay. All right. So much for EU standardization in that department then. Okay. So it's 2,860 euros per month. I made it with 2,820. Was that right? It's 705. And this is an interesting point as well. 4 times the Portuguese minimum wage. That is rising soon, isn't it? So it is going to go up a little bit. I think it's going up another 45 euros, like whoopee-doo, 45 euros a month. But it is going up nonetheless, 45 euros to 750 or thereabouts. Is that right?
Yes, it's going to be up.
And do we know when that's going to be, Gilda or Beatriz?
It's usually in January.
Of course. Yes, that makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so expect a little bit of a hike there of another, 180 euros per month on there. Is the application process all online? Flavia is asking. Good question.
It depends. It depends on the Portuguese embassy that you are applying.
Yes.
Because there are some Portuguese embassies that you go through VFS, which is an intermediary between you and the Portuguese embassy. Yep. And there are some cases where you need to apply through the e-visa portal.
Right.
So, but normally you need to go in person, deliver your visa application process. So it is not online.
Okay, that classic Portuguese answer. It depends. Right, there you go. Get used to that. Right, and Maxine.
It's not because we don't know. It's not our fault.
No. I certainly didn't want to convey that impression, everybody. No, it's almost like a cultural thing, and it's quite often it has to be said in bureaucratic circles. It can depend. Okay, I'm not sure what that is in Portuguese, because there's probably a number of ways of saying it depends in Portuguese, depending on which depends you're looking at. Okay, Maxine, not 2,820 euros over the last 3 months, right? That's monthly income we're looking at. Is that right? Just to clarify.
It's the average. So imagine if you have an employer and you employer and you receive monthly that amount of money, perfect.
Yes.
That depends mostly on the independent workers, because it can fluctuate, of course.
But it's not the money for the quarter, it is the money per month over the last 3 months, just to clarify and make that clear there. Thank you very much. Do I have to apply from my home country, or can I apply from another country? You should and must apply from another country if I'm working in another country at the time of applying. We are doing a lot of clarification on this. I think it's because it's new, isn't it? Tanya, good evening to you. Thank you for being here. So average, I don't know where this 940's come from, making 2,820 after 3 months. 2,820 per month an average thereof over the 3 months. I think we're right in saying, and that may be the last time we need to clarify that, but who knows? Flavia, the Portugal website, a government website, says the digital nomad visa is for up to 12 months. In the first instance, is that right, Gilda? Is that why Flavia is saying that? The Portugal government website says the digital nomad visa is for up to 12 months. Why would that be? Or is
up to 12 months?
Yes. It's a bit different to Tuesday night. I can't put the question up on the screen to show you. We can return to that. We can return to that. Malia, do we have to show employment contracts? If yes, do they need to be up till a certain time for people who have short-term contracts? That is a good kind of devil in the detail sort of question, isn't it? And given the fact that it's quite new, we might not know, but how detailed and what sort of contracts are required? Do you know any more than what you've already told us, Gilda, on this to answer that particular question?
Yeah, in the law, it doesn't state how much time that you need to stay in the country or in a job.
Okay.
However, since the digital nomad, the way that we see as a residential visa, I believe that you need to have some kind of support when you are applying for a visa to live in another country,
right,
to acquire residency. So I believe that you need to have at least some kind of support of time.
Yes. All right. Thank you for that. I'm a self-employed online coach, says Rich, and my clients are other business owners. Do I have to have contracts, or do bank deposits suffice? And of course, this will be the case, won't it, for some digital nomads? They'll all be, supplying or raising invoices in different ways. That's a good question. So do they have to be official contracts, or would the bank deposits suffice to prove income?
You should show, if you own a company, you should show the articles of the company. If you have which I believe, since you are providing services, you should provide the services agreement with your clients that you receive, because I believe that only the amount of money that you receive in your bank account wouldn't be that much of a proof for the Portuguese embassy, and they will probably question you, and this could lead for bad results. So basically everything that you can show that you are trading your work for some kind of money.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because they could be payments for anything in a bank account, couldn't they? So there you go. Yeah. The onus will be on you to prove that you have a business that is raising invoices or generating income. And the articles of creating the company will be useful. Rich, thank you for that question. On contact with the consulate in London, they said I needed to have proof of accommodation, rental agreement, or term of responsibility. So are we seeing here the first, not a legal requirement, but a specific consulate requirement, do we think?
Yes.
Okay, and that's London would be doing that, and that's a requirement they can just bring into being at their will, basically. There you go, Maxine. Not much we can do about that. They can do that. It's not the law, but they can do it, and they are doing that. Rich wants to be client number 3. There's room for more tonight. Certainly. We can have 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 tonight. Maybe get to double figures by the end of this webinar this evening. Darren, I'm hoping I'm number 1 or number 2. I'm not that competitive, but I just have to be number 1. But no one needs to be called number 2. Thank you for clearing that up, Darren. Keep us posted on how you get on. It'll be great to hear of people's personal journeys within the community here. It was printed in several articles about the digital nomad visa. Oh, okay. This is that you could apply within the country. I think we're going back to.
Yes, I know, because many people asked that question and said that they read it.
Yes, this is not unusual, is it? Where there are so many articles, and not just about this visa, the D7 as well. There is misinformation flying around, and that's why it's perhaps best to speak to the experts in the field. Find them in the Expats Portugal Business Directory, folks. I mean, it's like the times we're living in, as well as the intensity and desperation among people, I think, that is producing this sort of misleading information. Would you agree, Gilda?
Yes, I found, as you know, I belong to an institution of migration and investment, and every day, and we have a group of work in the WhatsApp, and we share information. And every day we find lots of news with misinformation about the NHR, about the visas, about the golden visas. It's like every day.
And ultimately, it's not going to be much of a defense, is it, when you're standing in front of Seth and saying, I read it on the internet somewhere? Really, you got to be working with the experts, folks, and get this really clear. Okay, DJ, been trying to contact Gilda and team, but no response. They're here tonight, DJ. Let's get that sorted out this evening. I'm sure there's a reason for that, and we can make sure the connection is made this evening. Beatriz will be all over that, I'm sure. Hey, Gilda, check this out. Mehmet, thank you for that video. That might be a little bit more of this information that's going around that needs to be checked and challenged. Ivy, further clarification here, and a great question from Sid coming up. But with Ivy, if you're already in Portugal...
Wait, what video is that?
Mehmet, when we go to open mic, we will find out exactly what Mehmet's got for us, okay? Oh, no, he wants to tell us now. Go on, do you want to tell us briefly now, Mehmet? He would, but we
can't hear.
We'll come back to you later. We'll come back to you later. But if you're already in Portugal, says Ivy, can you explain why we would need to leave to get a visa to return? Because that's how visas work, right, Gilda? Is there a way to apply for the corresponding residency permit from within Portugal without leaving to get the visa? I think not.
Well, there are ways to get a residency permit, but not this kind of visa.
Okay, there you go, which might answer this second question as well, or different question from Sid. Thank you for this. 2,800, 2,900 monthly per adult or per family. We are 2 adults, 2 kids. What do digital nomads who are families and with kids do? How is that going to work?
Well, right now with this new law, there is a new type of visa, which is family reunification process with the visa. Because before, the family reunification process would happen in Portugal with Seth. So what we are thinking of, and the way that the law is written down, the main applicant should apply for the Digital Nomad Visa, and then within 10 days, they should request the family reunification visa for their family.
Okay.
So we still don't know how the family reunification process visa will work, but of course we'll be on the top of the situation to make sure that everything will be okay. Excellent.
That's reassuring. And somebody needs to be first to do that as well. So that could be you, Sid, in this scenario here.
But let me add you something.
Yes,
but I believe that the circumstances of the family reunification process will be much basically the same as they are in Portugal. So you need to prove that you receive more 25% for each kid and 50% for a spouse or anyone that you want to reunite the process. So
thank you very much for that. Okay, Lynette, now the other people have thought this and asked this question. We have had this, haven't we, Gilda? Would it be possible to start with the residence visa, the digital nomad visa, and change to the D7 within the 5 years? This is not something you recommend or is even possible, right? The changing
no, it's not possible because the visa it's only for 4 months and then it's changed into a resident permit. And then you just need to prove that you meet the requirements. It doesn't matter if you have now you are applying because you have active income, and then if you want to stay in Portugal because you have passive income, you can renew your resident permit based on the passive income. You just need to show your bank statements that you still have way to pay your rental agreement and that you have no debts with the Portuguese tax authorities. So you'll be fine. No, you don't need to change any type of visa.
There you go, Lynette. I think people are just trying to cover their options with that sort of suggestion, aren't they? But no need to do that, and fairly straightforward, the route that Gilda's suggesting there. And I think that probably answers your question from earlier on, Flavia, as well, about the terms and, you know, how the respective parts of the visa in terms of duration in the country stack up there. Darren's asking, for the job seekers visa, do I need to have a Portuguese address? We kind of touched on that earlier on, but that's not going to be a requirement by the sound of it, Gilda, right? It's the other requirements that are more important than having an address.
Yeah, since it is the job seeker, you should first need to show that you have in bank accounts at least 3 times our minimum wage.
Okay,
because
sorry.
you need to
Yes,
have
my
some.
mistake. My mistake. I'm getting the two visas confused there. Thank you, Beatrice, for this.
You need to have some kind of support to come to Portugal to look for a job here. Since you are only looking for a job, we don't believe that it's going to be necessary to have a rental agreement for at least 1 year, because in the end of the day, you don't know if you are going to get a job or not.
Yes.
So I would recommend you to have or a term of responsibility to come to Portugal by a friend, or having some proof of hotel, Airbnbs, some kind of proof that you are not going to sleep on the streets. What is going to happen is it's going to be scheduled a self appointment for you to go there. And if you go there and you say, oh my god, I still don't have a job, they will extend your visa for a period of time. I believe that is 2 months, but I'm not sure of that. And in that final stage, if you don't get a job, then you need to return to your own country.
Okay, but that's a pretty generous visa, it has to be said, isn't it? Yeah, Portugal doing amazing work in welcoming people from all around the world, and that's, we've talked about 3 of the visas there, haven't we, this evening? D7.
They need manpower.
That's the way. I guess that's why. There's your reason right there. Okay, but not in EI's office. All female, no manpower in there. It's all woman power. In the EI office. And we talking of D7s then, Trevor, thank you for this. I mean, strictly speaking, we are talking about a digital nomad visa tonight, but this is worthy of inclusion, I think. And thank you, Trevor, for this. Gilda, I saw this update and I'm wondering what it means. Trevor is watching the law. 18/2022 of 25, a directive article 58.6 for those who need the particular details here. With the granting of a residence visa, a pre-residence permit is issued, which contains information on obtaining the residence permit and the provisional allocation of tax identification, social security, and national health numbers. Does that mean they will not be requiring for a NIF number for the D7 application?
Trevor, if you are feeling bored, come and work for us.
I think there's
we need help.
There's space for Trevor, I think, isn't there, with that eye to detail there. But what's the answer? I mean, that can't be possible, can it? That people entering Portugal will not have to have a NIF number. I mean, that is just the law, isn't it? That everyone should have a NIF number here.
Okay, so this is one of the big changes of this law. Okay, what does the law state? That when the residency visa is going to be issued, that they will grant you a provisory NIF number, social security number, and health national health number. But remember that for the D7, they ask you to have a bank account, and for the bank account you need the NIF. So I think that you will still have to, unless they stop requiring you to have a bank account in Portugal with a certain amount, you still do need to have a NIF before you obtain your visa.
There you go, Trevor. And it's not every webinar we get a job offer like that. So there you go, Trevor. That's pretty big news for Trevor this evening. He's been offered a job by EI as a researcher, a desk researcher, I think.
Oh, I forgot. He's a man. He can't.
Sorry, Trevor. Withdrawn. Okay, Mehmet, thank you for this. Let's say I jumped into Portugal by the week of my visa approved, or at the time of the visa being approved. And this is about timescales, Gilda. I mean, these questions are quite difficult, aren't they, to answer, because of it's out of your hands largely. But let's say I jumped into Portugal on the week of the visa approval. When would the CEF appointment be? I'm trying to understand the duration we have to get ready for the CEF appointment, like preparing all the documents, rental agreement, etc. So timescales, please, for the preparation of all these vital documents.
Okay, so the visa is approved, and then they will give a link with the date of your CEF appointment. So based on that date, you can make your schedule and come to Portugal and start preparing your things. I always advise people to come at least 1 month and a half before.
Okay. All right. 6 weeks would be a good
Yes.
time to be.
Can I add just something?
Yes, you can.
Yes. So, of course, your visa is a duration of 4 months, but as you can imagine, the CEF right now is completely crazy. So, your CEF is being scheduled for more than 4 months, like 6 months ahead, 8 months ahead. Between the 4 months, the final month of your visa, you should stay in Portugal until you have your CEF appointment. Because although that the Portugal knows that, okay, it's not your fault that your CEF is not sooner or within the 4 months, the other countries may not recognize that. So please don't be outside of Portugal after the visa is issued.
Very good caveat there. Thank you for that, Beatriz. And I think we'll probably conclude the recorded part of the webinar here, and we'll go to open questions, which of course is a great reason to be here live on the webinar.
No, we still have half an hour.
Sure, but I'm just going for the recording part here, Gilda, and we'll go to open mic afterwards. We're going to stick around. We're having our usual after party. Don't worry about that. Would you like me to stay open on the mic and the recording here? Very happy to do that. I think you're in the mood to eat a lot of questions this evening. Is that right? Like the Terminator of questions here. All right, we'll keep it going. We'll keep the public recording going until we've exhausted all.
This is a new visa. Come on, everybody wants to know about this.
I feel suitably rebuffed, and I will follow your lead here, Gilda, gladly. Okay, so then in that case, I have a really good question for you. This is fantastic, which is where I thought I was going to conclude and might be a good note to do so, but no, we will continue. And this is a great question, Gilda. I can already imagine the look on your face for this one. Will the consulates have more staff to handle?
I love this one.
You haven't heard the whole question yet. Will the consulates have more staff to handle the influx of digital nomad visas?
Oh my God. I think this should be the cherry on the top of the cake.
I'm sorry that you're getting a response of this kind. There's a bit of an in-joke really about CEF, and I think this is quite a good moment, Gilda, to describe to everybody, because there will be people whose attention has been brought to Portugal because of this very visa. And it might be a good moment, maybe for both of you, to talk about where CEF is at the moment. You know, this year has been a tough year for CEF, hasn't it? I suppose it's the latest of a tough 2 or 3 years, possibly. They're going through a major reorganization. There's been the Brexit administration to deal with. Family reunification has just opened. And now a digital nomad visa is being put into the mix before they've resolved their reorganization. I mean, I've given you a summary there, but how is it looking from your point of view as somebody of 2 people here who deal with CEF on a daily basis?
I'm just going to say something, and then I will pass to Beatriz because
While you grab a drink.
She's dealing with the consulate every day. I already told this when the new law came out. Some consulates shut the door and put the paper saying we are closed until further notice.
Really? Right. Okay.
Beatriz.
Oh, that's the mic drop. That's all that Gilda wants to say right now on that matter. And Rich is saying, I'm new here and don't have the CEF backstory, so I'm very interested in this answer. Thank you for asking the question there. Beatriz, daily dealings with CEF, what's it like?
I believe that it was difficult before the new law was issued, so I don't know how they are going to manage everything. Every Portuguese embassy is having their visa issue delayed. The CEF has been scheduling the residency permits for 8 months after they receive the visa. So I really don't know how this is going to happen, because it's not only the digital nomad that is new. There is a lot of things that are new, are the job seeker visa, the family unification visa, which we still don't know a lot about that. So there's a lot of things that are going to be changed with this new law, but they don't have the manpower, they don't have the capacity right now to do that. So I really don't know how that's going to happen.
Okay, there's your answer, Rich. And but I mean, it was very reassuring to hear from you, Beatriz, about how although the first part of the permit is 4 months, often people won't get a meeting in that time. So it is good to know that. I mean, that could be very stressful for people, couldn't it? Thinking, I've got to have this meeting within the 4 months of permitted, the first part of the permit. But as you say, it's being extended. There is some goodwill in this department.
And the worst thing is that normally couples are scheduled for the same day, for the same time, but in different locations.
I have heard about this, yes.
And when we try to reschedule, it can be delayed for 1 month, just for them to be together. So we had more 1 month to that situation.
What would you recommend in that situation? To travel to the far ends of the country or to go for the reorganization?
I believe that it is always better for you to have at the same time together, for you to have like a glass of champagne after that.
Now you're talking.
But right now, I believe that I don't know how this is going to happen, honestly, but I always believe that it's better for you to be together.
Okay, all right, personal view on that. Excellent. And yeah, the champagne's a great idea as well. Okay, there was a good question.
I think that we are being a little bit pessimist here.
We?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that Rich is almost giving up coming to Portugal. Rich.
Certainly not Rich, no.
No, he's Rich. This is a great country.
I'm already here, so I can't give up.
Hello, Rich.
I'm here. I'm in Gaia right now, so I need you to be positive for me.
Yes. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Everybody. Okay.
So tomorrow, if you want to come to the office, I'll be here in Porto, and we can talk about the visa.
There you go. There you go. She's turned it round. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well done, Gilda. And you say, Rich, I'm more concerned about the approval of the 4-month visa from within the United States. I understand that CEF interviews will take longer. A view on that, Gilda, dealing with particular CEF offices. I mean, often when we're talking about the situation around the world, New Delhi often weighs in as being impossible. Dubai, we hear, is also very difficult to deal with. What do you say at the moment about the American consulates, both you and Beatriz? Perhaps you first, Gilda.
No, Beatriz is the one dealing with the American consulates.
Beatriz?
She knows everything about it.
Excellent. Over to you, Beatriz. Let's give Rich more reassurance here.
For me, the best Portuguese embassy is Newark, which is excellent. They issue the visas in 30 days to 45 days. So excellent place to live nearby.
Newark, New Jersey.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, San Francisco and Washington, D.C. are a little bit delayed. They are taking closer to 3 months rather than 2 months. But I believe that is general. Every Portuguese embassy is taking a little more time. So please don't give up. We are here to help you.
There you go, Rich. I hope you feel better now. Okay, and with champagne chilling in the distance as well. What could be better? There was a great question about D7 and digital nomad visa comparison here, which I think we should perhaps reiterate that. Malia, if a person qualifies for D7, is there any benefit to choosing the digital nomad visa instead, or should they stick to the D7? So could you give us the use cases, I suppose, the ideal scenarios, the avatar, the particular niche for the D7, and as well as that for the digital nomad visa? Which are the types of people who will be going for these particular visas?
Well, for the D7, it will be firstly the pensionists that receive a state income, a pension, the ones that receive money from rentals, or the ones that receive dividends. For the digital nomads, it will be or the employers or the ones that are independent workers. If you have both situations, if you already receive a pension from the state that is above our minimum wage, and you still have savings, investments, bank accounts, I believe that you are in the best of both worlds. So go for the D7.
Okay, and
yes.
And that's why it's also sometimes called the retirement visa, isn't it? Because although that's just a name that's kind of slipped into conversation, it's not really that, but you can understand why it has that name on that.
Yeah, because I believe that it was created exactly like that, for that.
Okay. All right, excellent. And then obviously, that is for the more retired and easygoing lifestyle. Digital nomad visa, you could say, is at the other end of the spectrum. That's going to be for a very busy, possibly younger person coming into the country. And not meaning to be ageist there, but typically demographically, it will be a younger person who's going to be busy a lot of the time, and a laptop-based person who's journeying around the world and finding Lisbon, for example, or Porto, very attractive at the moment.
Yeah, but I believe that it was a surprise to us when we discovered that you need to fulfill 4 times our minimum wage. We never thought of, yeah, because
it's so much.
Yes, especially compared to what we are expecting in Portugal, that we receive normally. So it was really a surprise when the decree of regulatory decree was out, and they informed us of that, because when we knew that the digital nomad is going to be issued, we thought, oh my god, the people that are not able to go through a D7 are now having a solution, but that was really not the case.
No, okay. And what do you think the thinking is behind that then? Is it because they want to absolutely make sure that people will be able to support themselves? And let's face it, if they're a digital nomad, they are likely to be heading for Lisbon and Porto, where the rentals are going to be a little bit higher. So do you think that's the thinking behind this?
I think so, because I think that is a way to really separate the D7s, because like Gilda said, the D7s were for everything, every passive income, which was everything that you receive monthly income outside of Portugal. Yes. So they really want to make a distinction. No, you are a D7. No, you are a digital nomad. And yes. I believe that you really need to make sure that if you are living in Portugal, you have the grounds of sustaining yourself and not be the government, or the government doesn't need to do anything for you or yes. pay you anything.
Absolutely well said. Okay. Gilda, with your permission, may I conclude at that point for the recording and go to the open mic session? That said, there may be some things you want to mention before we stop recording that might have bubbled up during the process here, or things that I haven't asked you about. So if I could ask you first, Beatriz, and then I'll come back to you, Gilda, to conclude. Anything I should have asked you? Anything you saw in the questions that hasn't been answered yet, Beatriz?
Let me just take a little look.
May I say, you've both been amazing tonight, absolutely brilliant and information rich this evening. Good work. Thank you very much for that.
I have here a question.
Yeah.
From Rich. For the Digital Nomad Visa, do I need a Portuguese bank account? I do already have enough. So it is not clear in the law, and from the law we cannot see that they will ask you a Portuguese bank account with those minimum amounts. So from our understanding, you only need to present and to show that you have a tax residency in some place, and that you have more than 2,800 euros in the past 3 months.
Thank you for spotting that, Beatriz. My bad. And thank you, Rich, for asking your questions this evening. Thanks for being here. Gilda, over to you for the final word then.
If I was Rich, once he is here, I would open a bank account, and that would make my process, look beautiful.
Yeah, I do. Eurobeak.
Okay, well done. It's not that big a deal opening a Portuguese bank account.
Yes, it is.
It only takes half a day.
It is now.
It is very hard.
Come on.
Yes, it is. Yes. No, it's getting harder. It's getting harder. It's getting harder. And
I went to 4 banks before someone said yes.
I was about to say it only takes 2 days and 28 signatures. And on that note, everybody, thank you very much. We'll probably hear a little bit more about Rich's uphill struggle to open a bank account. I was kidding, by the way, everybody. Yes, you do need help. Go to the professionals. Find them in the Expats Portugal Business Directory. That'll be EI. It's pronounced A, but probably to the English speakers, you will look at it and find it as EI in the business directory there. So thank you very much. Great job tonight on this exciting new visa, Beatriz Ribeiro and Gilda Pereira from EI. Let's finish the recording there for the time being, and we'll go to some more personal and more private questions, a benefit of being here live on the webinar. So do sign up for the live webinars at expatsportugal.com.